This video is something a little bit different. This is going to be a pruning video and then revisiting the same job in a year's time. So as you watch the video, I'd like you to think, if it makes sense to you, if you feel like the tree is being pruned too hard, what you would have done differently if you feel like that, if you feel like you would do that exact same pruning. Take into consideration how you deal with your clients, if you only do what you would kind of recommend to them, or if you take on board what they say and kind of try and compromise a little bit, or if you do exactly what they ask you to do and cut branches exactly where you want them to. Just think about how you deal with your clients, the approach you take, and then take a look at how I pruned this tree in the video, and decide if you feel like I pruned it too hard, if I could have gone harder, if I pruned it incorrectly. And then at the end there's me revisiting the tree a year after it was pruned, and you see the result. Also take into consideration the species profile of the tree. So this is Robinia pseudoacacia. So if you're familiar with that tree, you kind of know the characteristics of it. Also take into consideration the climate that you're in. So obviously everywhere in the world trees grow differently at different rates. I'm in the Pacific Northwest, where it's a very wet climate. We have warm summers, but we have a lot of rain, so trees grow very, very quick. And these are all things that I've thought of since I revisited the tree, and things that you kind of learn from when you view past pruning work that you've done. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching. Hello, welcome to another video from climbingarborist.com. Today I'm going to film the day's work, which is this Robinia behind me. We're going to do a crown reduction. So the client, doesn't really want the tree to get much bigger, so we're going to do a reduction for just an ongoing maintenance from now on. So we're probably going to take kind of a couple of feet off all around, try and keep it healthy but reduce the size so it doesn't get bigger over time. And yeah, I'm going to film as we're going through, maybe explain a little, how to decide where to prune it to, how to kind of keep the shape and those kind of things. So should be an interesting one. Thanks for watching. Okay, so I'm up in the top of this tree now. I've got my final time point, which, as you can see, isn't the largest of time points, which is why I've gone around both of them with the pulley saver. I mean, this tree to the very top is what, only maybe 40 feet or so, and so this time point, it's probably got another 10 foot above it, so I needed to get as high as possible. I've gone around both. These trees they're really strong wood, so I'm comfortable to tie in to something like this on this species of tree, but I certainly wouldn't do it on other species, like weaker species. So only really strong species, something like oak, maple, beech, that kind of thing. But this comes with experience, I think, like knowing how comfortable you feel to tie into to a certain size of branch, like over the years of experience, working with different species of tree over and over again, that kind of thing. So please don't please don't have one kind of size in your mind that's the size that you should be tying into. There's factors that determine what size should be safe. Obviously the condition of the tree as well. If the tree looks like it's in decline, it's going to be a different thought process to if the tree looks very healthy, that kind of thing. Anyway, going off topic a little bit. Yeah, so I'm tied in as high as I can be. Around this side, you can see it's pretty skinny, but there's places that I can actually get stood in and climb higher with my lanyard on to start reducing the height of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for a good lateral branch, or that's ideally 1/3 or more the size of the main stem or the main branch that is coming off. That's the rule of thumb for pruning. For any kind of pruning, like reduction pruning, you want to prune to something that's minimum 1/3 of the diameter of the branch that you kind of pruning off, to take over as like the leader. But I mean, sometimes that's not possible, so you go a little bit less, especially if you need to prune back beyond where there's not as many branches. But yeah, we need to stick to that as much as possible. Obviously I need to prune back from the roof of the house, and then there's quite a large limb come out from the bottom there that we need to reduce back a bit, because that's kind of sticking out of the crown quite a lot, so we're going to pull that back in as well. And then there's a bit of dead wood throughout the tree, so obviously as we're moving around the canopy, we're going to take those bits of dead wood out. If this was a larger tree, I'd do it very methodically. I would kind of get my time point and decide where to go down first, and then work around the tree, very like systematically, basically. This is quite a small tree, easy to jump about and kind of get from branch to branch. Not too much rope management needed because it's pretty small. So we'll still do it in a systematic fashion, but it's not going to be, that's not as important on something like this, because it's pretty small. Anyway, I'll stop mumbling and let's crack on. So I'm just working on just bringing in some of these lateral branches, especially for the building clearance. And even though it's not far out from the main trunk, obviously because the shape of this tree is a bit weird, I just put a little redirect in there, so it's kind of pulling me over that way a little bit. It's a bit more, it's a bit of a higher time point than if I was just straight to my original time point. And then I've got my lanyard going up here as well, so it's giving me that kind of triangulation, and it gives me a better work position. So I've pretty much finished. Actually reduced it to where I still believe it, it's going to keep it healthy, but it's going to achieve what the homeowner wants as well. Just a couple of bits of dead wood down the bottom on the way down, but so as you can see, kind of reduced these ends, reduced it down here. If we look up to the top, you can see all the kind of reduction pruning cuts at the top over here by the house. Still got to do that one because the end's dead for about 6 feet, and then it's got loads of epicomic shoots. But yeah, all the way up there, reduced those back in, and especially reduced the longer branches back in. Tried to leave a little bit of the kind of shorter foliage, the inner foliage, although there wasn't really much inner growth to leave. But yeah, I think she'll be happy with this. Just reduced the height and width a little bit. So all finished up, all cleaned up. So I just wanted to show you from the ground the tree once it's been pruned. Hopefully the sun isn't too blind in there, but as you can see, I've taken quite a bit off. I took quite a bit off the top, but I was able to prune it down to some good kind of lateral branches. I've kind of taken back away from the house quite a lot there, and the one low limb that was going right over to the neighbours, I reduced that down quite a bit as well, because the height of that was probably going up to be the same height as the tree before I started pruning, so it was a really long limb. So I pruned that side back in, and then I took away from the house and kind of just pruned all the longer branches in, really, to get this more contained tree. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what that's like in a few months' time once the foliage comes out. So it's 1 year on since I pruned this Robinia tree, and I just came back to take a look at it, just because, we can learn from how a tree responds once we take a look at it further down the line, like after a year, 2, 3 years. So I thought I'd take a look just because this is kind of close to where I live, and you can't see it at the moment, but if I tilt the camera up you'll be able to see it's put a lot of shoots out. Now that's potentially because I pruned a little too hard, but also because of the species characteristics. So I don't know if I would have achieved what the client wanted without pruning as much as I did. And now, at least if we prune off the new shoots and still try and let those major kind of secondary branches that I left on initially take over, hopefully we should be able to keep the result we were going for. But it's a bit of a shame that it's kind of sent out all these new shoots. We're probably going to have to prune this tree again, maybe even this year, just to kind of nip out those new shoots while they're small before they develop a little bit. So as you can see, going back and revisiting previous pruning jobs is a really valuable tool. This particular tree was a really valuable tool to me because it was semi-mature Robinia tree, still kind of in the early stages of its life, a lot of energy. Robinia trees are renowned for putting out a lot of kind of epicormic shoots, a lot of growth. We're in a climate where trees grow very, very quickly, and I believe that I pruned this tree too heavily, trying to achieve partly what the client wanted, but obviously if they'd have got what they wanted, this tree would have been pruned way, way harder. So I kind of tried to balance it with a reduction back to secondary branches, and I didn't expect it to have responded in the way it did. So I think it's a very, very valuable tool, and I encourage everybody to try and go back and see something that they've pruned in the last couple of years. Or many different trees, because different species react in different ways, etc., etc. So yeah, I hope this video is a kind of a bit of an eye-opener and a really valuable tool, because I feel like I do feel like I got it wrong, and I could have maybe gone, well, in hindsight I should have gone lighter, although how much lighter and how much would that have had a less kind of responsive growth from the tree? And also you see how skinny the tree was. I don't know how much higher I would have actually been able to get to make the pruning cuts. And also if you see at the end of the video, the lateral branches had shoots coming out too, and some of the lateral branches were pruned very minimally. So I think just the overall shock of pruning just forced this burst of growth. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something, and I encourage you to go and do the same. Thanks a lot. See you on the next one.